Hey, folks. I'm up pretty dang late at night, and I was just thinking about some stuff, as I often do. Started thinking about that first little essay or poem that I personally did find very inspirational early on in my son receiving his diagnosis of Angelman syndrome. And I thought I'd read a little bit of it here today. I will say that my feelings on this essay have changed over time. It is a great perspective, but as a special needs parent, it becomes one of those one-liners people give you, like oh, I don't know how you do it. God only gives special needs children to special needs parents. I couldn't do it if I were you. You know, just makes your eye twitch a little. But for any newly diagnosed people out there, this is inspirational, and it should give you that. It should give you that good feeling because there is hope and there is meaning in life. It's not the way you thought it would go, but it's a really great place to be. The annoyance that I have, as I'm sure is shared with several other special needs parents, is it just becomes a thing. You hear it all the time, and you start to feel like it's almost an excuse that other people give you as like well, better you than me, even though they hopefully aren't meaning it that way. So let's get to the point. The poem at hand, essay, whatever I keep calling it a poem, is called Welcome to Holland. It is by Emily Pearl Kingsley, who did a fantastic job. And I boohoo cried in a good way when I first read this. That was then, and this is now. I am often asked to describe the experience of raising a child with a disability, to try to help people who have not shared that unique experience to understand it, to imagine how it would feel. It's like this. When you're going to have a baby, it's like planning a fabulous vacation trip to Italy. You buy a bunch of books, a bunch of guidebooks, and make your wonderful plans. The Colosseum, the Michelangelo David, the gondolas in Venice. You may learn some handy phrases in Italian. It's all very exciting. After months of eager anticipation, the day finally arrives. You pack your bags and off you go. Several hours later, the plane lands. The stewardess comes in and says, "Welcome to Holland." Holland? You say? What do you mean, Holland? I signed up for Italy. I'm supposed to be in Italy. All my life, I've dreamed of going to Italy. But there's been a change in the flight. They've landed in Holland, and there you must stay. The important thing is that they haven't taken you to a horrible, disgusting, filthy place full of pestilence, famine, and disease. It's just a different place. So you must go out and buy new guidebooks, and you must learn a whole new language, and you will meet a whole new group of people you would never have met. It's just a different place. It's a slower pace than Italy, less flashy than Italy. But after you've been here for a while and catch your breath, you look around and you begin to notice that Holland has windmills, and Holland has tulips. Holland even has Rembrandts. I don't know what the heck that is. But everyone you know is busy coming and going from Italy, and they're all bragging about what a wonderful time they've had there. And for the rest of your life, you will say, yes, that's where I was supposed to go. That's what I had planned. And the pain of that will never, ever, ever go away. because the loss of that dream is a very, very significant loss. But if you spend your life mourning the fact that you didn't go to Italy, you may never be free to enjoy the very special, the very lovely things about Holland. The end. I feel like it still kind of rips your heart out there at the very end because it's like the pain's never, ever, 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 ever going away. Well, thanks, Debbie. Didn't know you were here to down up the place. And although that's true in some ways, I can say now, 10 plus years later, that kind of pain fades away. It's not so raw and in your face and traumatic as it was when it first happened. You have moments where you look out the window and you see the kid down the street going to the school and the class that your child was supposed to go to, and he has to go to a different one, and it hurts. But it isn't this devastating pain that it was in the beginning. There's lots of fun stuff out there too. I just hate saying that it happens to be in Holland. It's like people give this poem for you to read instead of actually talking to you and being there for you. Not the other special needs families. If a special needs family gave this to me, I'd be like, cool. In fact, I think I was given this poem by like an organization that is ran by other special needs parents, and it did mean something to me. But people who are in my world personally, but are not in our world as special needs parents, who say, hey, have you seen this? Just kind of feels like a way to be like, oh, you're making me feel uncomfortable. Let's talk about something happy. Let's change the subject. I don't want to go there to those dark places or think about the things that you have to think about. So can we just kind of scoot this along? And sure, there are times where that's appropriate too. Not for them to say, for you to say it. So screw those people. All right. Now I want to leave you with a little common sense, or rather, should I say, uncommon sense. There's someone named, let's see, it is Dana Nider. She wrote this in 2010 from her blog, Uncommon Post. I really did like a lot of her writing and still do. In fact, I know she was going to school to be a speech therapist, and I really haven't seen if she's online anywhere recently. I didn't know her personally. I just read a lot of her stuff through her blogs. And although this one isn't so funny, a lot of her stuff was. But now I'm going to read you the follow-up to Welcome to Holland that she wrote. It's called Amsterdam International. In the special needs world, there is a poem, essay, whatever, exactly, called Welcome to Holland. It is supposed to explain what it's like to have a child with special needs. It's short and sweet. It skips everything. While Welcome to Holland has a place, I used to hate it. It skipped over all the agony of having a child with special needs and went right to the happy ending. The raw, painful, confusing entry into Holland was just glossed over. And considering the fact that this little poem is so often passed along to new moms of kids with special needs, it seems unfair to just hand them a little story about getting new guidebooks and windmills and tulips. If I had written Welcome to Holland, I would have included the terrible entry time, and it would have sounded like this. Amsterdam International. Parents of quote-unquote normal kids who are friends with parents of kids with special needs often say things like, wow, how do you do it? I wouldn't be able to handle everything. You guys are amazing. I talked about that before, didn't I? Well, thank you very much But there's no special manual, no magical positive attitude serum, no guide to embodying strength and serenity. People just do what they have to do. You rise to the occasion and embrace your sense of humor or grow a new one. You come to love your life, and it's hard to imagine it a different way. Although, when you try, it may sting a little. But things weren't always like this. At first, you ricocheted around the stages of grief, and it was hard to see the sun through the clouds and forget the damn tulips or windmills. In the beginning, you're stuck in Amsterdam International Airport, and no one ever talks about how much it sucks. You briskly walk off the plane into the airport thinking, there must be a way to fix this. Please, please don't make me have to stay here. This isn't what I wanted. Please just take it back. The airport is covered with signs in Dutch that don't help, and several well meaning airport professionals try to calm you into realizing that you are here. Oh, and since they're shutting down the airport today, you can never leave. Never. Never. This is your new reality. Their tone and smiles are reassuring, and for a moment you feel a little bit more calm. But the pit in your stomach doesn't leave, and a new wave of panic isn't far off. Although you don't know it yet, this will become a pattern. You will often come to a place of almost acceptance, only to quickly become devastated or infuriated about this goddamn unfair deviation to Holland. At first, this will happen several times a day, but it will taper to several times a week, and then only occasionally. A flash of realization. Your family and friends are waiting, some in Italy, some back home, all wanting to hear about your arrival in Rome. Now, what is there to say, and how do you say it? You settle on leaving an outgoing voicemail that says, we've arrived, the flight was fine, more news to come, because really, what else can you say? You're not even sure what to tell yourself about Holland, let alone your loved ones. Although you don't know it yet, this will become a pattern. How can you talk to people about Holland? If they sweetly offer reassurances, it's hard to find comfort in them. They've never been to Holland after all. Shade. And their attempts at sympathy, while genuine, you don't need their pity. Their pity says, wow, things must really suck for you. And when you're just trying to hold yourself together, that doesn't help. When you hear someone else say that things are bad, it's hard to maintain your denial, to keep up your everything is just fine, thank you very much outer shell. Pity hits too close to home, and you can't admit to yourself how terrible it feels to be stuck in Holland, because then you will undoubtedly collapse into a pile of raw, wailing agony. So you have to deflect and hold yourself together. Deflect and hold yourself together. You sneak glances at your travel companion, who also was ready for Italy. You have no idea how he or she is handling this massive change in plans, and can't bring yourself to ask. You think, please, please don't leave me here. Stay with me. We can find the right things to say to each other, I think. Maybe we can have a good life here. But the terror of a mutual breakdown, of admitting that you're deep in a pit of raw misery, of saying it out loud and thereby making it reality, is too strong. So you say nothing. Although you don't know it yet, this may become a pattern. It will get easier with practice, but it will always be difficult to talk with your partner about your residency in Holland. I, JC, can attest. This is true. And what she is saying is true. You go through patterns, and some things get easier to talk about, and some things you just kind of sit in silence and you're like, yep, yep. And you just kind of move on because it's just too dark and it's just too deep and it's just too much. Back to the story poem essay. Your emotions often won't line up. You'll be accepting things and trying to build a home just as he starts clamoring for appointments with more diplomats who may be able to fix it all. And then you'll switch, you moving into anger and him into acceptance. You'll be afraid of sharing your depression because it might be contagious. How can you share all of the things you hate about Holland without worrying that you're just showing your partner all the reasons that he should sink into depression too? And what you keep thinking but can't bring yourself to say aloud is that you would give anything to go back in time a few months. You wish you never bought the tickets. It seems that no traveler is ever supposed to say, I wish I never even got on the plane. I just want to be back at home. But it's true, and it makes you feel terrible about yourself, which is just fantastic. A giant dose of guilt is just what a terrified, lonely, lost tourist needs. And although you don't know it yet, this is the part that will fade. After you're ready and get out of the airport, you will get to know Holland and you won't regret the fact that you will have traveled there. Oh, you will long for Italy from time to time and want to rage against the unfairness from time to time, but you will get past the little voice that once said, take this back from me. I don't want this trip at all. I, JC, can also attest that's 100% accurate. Moving on. Each traveler has to find their own way out of the airport. Some people navigate through the corridors in a pretty direct path. The corridors can lead right in a row. Denial to anger to bargaining to depression to acceptance. More commonly, you shuffle and wind around, leaving the depression hallway to find yourself somehow back in anger again. You may be here for months, but you will leave the airport. You will. And as you learn more about Holland and see how much it has to offer, you will grow to love it, and it will change who you are for the better. And I can also attest to that being 100% true and accurate. Now, for a little funsies, if I can find it. There once was a teenage boy, I believe, who lived in Holland, who got on a plane thinking he was going somewhere, I'm not sure, but he actually ended up somewhere else. And I found that to be the most funny thing I have ever read in my life. And you know what? None of my other special needs parents got it, and I'm not sure why. Are you kidding me? Irony at its best. So let me see if I can type it up. And I can read it to you. I believe this was about 5 years ago, so. Yep, I think I found it. It says from 2017, Dutch teen ends up in the wrong Sydney. It's the tag end of winter. This is from the Star, and it was written by Hina Alam, who is the staff reporter. It's the tag end of winter. A kind of fatigue sets, and escaping to sun-kissed beaches sounds like a golden idea. So with that thought in mind, and looking forward to some backpacking, enjoying, and working in Sydney, Australia, 18-year-old Milan Skipper of Vasan, Holland, booked his flight according to the CBC radio interview. He combed through websites looking for that perfect, cheap flight and found one costing €800, as opposed to others that cost him thousands of euros. I thought I was going to Australia, but that turned out a little different, he said in the interview. Shipper said he realized quite late that he wasn't headed to Australia. I saw the plane, and the plane was really small, he said, so I figured Would that make it to Australia? But afterwards, I checked the screen on the seat in front of me and I checked the flight plan and everything. And then I saw all the flight plan was going to write up. I'm sorry, it's a little weird wording here. I checked the flight plan and everything, and then I saw all the flight plan was going to go right and up left. Yeah, that was about the time that I realized there was another Sydney. All that shipper saw of Nova Scotia in the 5 hours he was there was the parking lot of the airport. Airport employees helped him get back to Toronto, where, after another 12 hours, he got back on the right flight to Amsterdam, where he was picked up by his father. This is not the first time that someone has made such a mistake. Anyway, we won't go around the other ones because that's not what the point is about. The point is that there was just a little bit of funny and irony, and that someone actually in real life from Holland got on a plane and went to a different place than he had planned to. And I just think he should have stayed there, and they should have been like, "Well, this is a great place. Just come on. You shouldn't have to go back home. No, it's a fine day. No, I mean, I know you're a little upset, but that doesn't matter. You just need to think happy thoughts. It's all happy here. It's all happy." Now, I know I couldn't do this if I were you, but you can. You're really strong. God doesn't give you more than you can handle. All right. Well, that's all of my little Holland rant for this evening. And again, the first essay really, really does mean a lot at first. And then it kind of doesn't. And then it becomes a thing. And I think the person from Dana, I think is her name, from Uncommon Sense, really described how you feel very well. You're just kind of trapped in an airport and you don't really know how to get out. You're just there. You're just there with the feelings of the diagnosis. You don't know. People are trying to call you, ask what's going on, want to come over and see your child. And you're just like, I don't even know what I'm going to do in the next 5 minutes. I just can't even process life. I gotta take a break. I don't know what I'm doing. And then you look at your spouse and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing either. And you don't want to make it worse for them. But you also feel this is the only person you can talk to about it. And some people don't even have that other person to talk to. Some people are all alone through this as well. But you're not alone here. You can leave your stories, your thoughts, your situations in the comment section. And we will see you and talk with you later on. Bye, fellow parents.